Hello, guys. Welcome to another episode of Coffee Time with Iffy. That's right. It's coffee time with Iffy. It's coffee time with Iffy. It's coffee time with Iffy. Okay, I'm done now. So let's get to the show. Anyways, today I want to talk about a few things. First thing I want to talk about is obedience. Now. Okay. For a lot of us, obedience is obeying your parents, obeying the law and things like that. But what about obeying God? What about this? Okay. So we all know God is big, very big, and very smart too. Okay. God, now this is the thing. God is asking for a personal relationship with us, right? Okay. We all got that. He's asking for a personal relationship, but he's also asking for obedience. Okay. Now, how does obedience look like when it comes to God? Okay. So, as human beings, me and you, regular stuff, right? As human beings, we like to plan things out. We like to plan our lives out. We like to plan our schooling. We like to plan our jobs out. We want to plan our children out. Actually, we want to plan how many kids we're gonna have. We want to plan so many things, because when we plan things out, we have control over it, right? When you plan something out, you have some kind of control over that thing, right? That you're planning out, right? But God is a little bit different, right? God is saying, listen, I know you guys are planners and you like to have control. As human beings, we love control. We love to have control over many, many things, right? And God is like, okay, I know you want control. You want control. You want to have control over everything, but I'm asking you to trust me, not just trust me, obey me. Okay. And when he says obey me, okay, he's not just talking about, obeying the 10 commandments. He's talking about as a whole, 24/7, obey him, right? If God gives you a command, your response should be obedience, right? Okay. So sometimes we like to plan things. Well, all the time we plan things, but sometimes when we plan things, it doesn't go the way we want it to go, right? And we're like, I'm so disappointed. I'm so mad. I planned this whole thing out and it didn't work out. Okay, that's great and all. Okay, so when you were planning that thing, whatever it is, when you were planning it, did your planning fit into God's will? Does it fit in there? That's the question. Does your planning fit into God's will? A lot of us don't think of it. And I know I've made this mistake many times. Okay. I plan something and I'm like, okay, seems good. I'm not hurting anybody. It's a good thing for my life. It's a good thing for my wallet. It's good things, right? But nah, that's a mistake. Okay. If the planning you are doing does not fit into the will God has for your life, you will more than likely, if not definitely, most likely, actually, you will run into a roadblock. I was trying to put it all nice and polite. No, you will run into a roadblock. Just bang! Because your planning does not fit into God's will. You see, when our planning fits into God's will, there is no roadblocks. It's smooth sailing because this is his will. That's it. There is no roadblocks. There is no, oops, can't get over this hump. No, it literally is his will. So there is no roadblocks. Everything is exactly as he wants it, and it will work out so smoothly, effortlessly, actually, you know? And yeah, and now his will is one thing, but then where obedience comes into this, when you figure out, when you're not, when you're in that place in your life where you're like, okay, my planning here is not working out, and okay, I must have not planned well because the planning obviously does not fit into God's will. Now comes obedience. Okay. So after you had all of those roadblocks, God still wants you to get on the right path, right? He still wants you to get on that right path. So he's going to give you a command. He's going to let you know, do this thing. Go over there. Talk to that person. Whatever the command is, your response should be, yes, Lord. Obey. It does not matter how unreasonable it sounds, how the circumstances is. It doesn't matter. Your response should be, yes, Lord. That is it. Okay? He's giving you a command because he knows the future. You do not. He knows what's ahead. You do not. So it doesn't matter what your rationality is or your reasoning is or how the command looks. Your response should be, yes, Lord. That response also comes with trust. When you say you trust him, you should trust him enough to obey. If he gives you a command, you obey. If your planning doesn't fit in his will, guess what? You got to go back and try to figure out where you went wrong. Okay? Because you were planning instead of allowing God to place you where you need to be, to direct you, to show you, to command you. You planned. You didn't even ask. Like, many times we plan things and we don't ask. We don't even ask, like, God, do you want me to do this? We just like, well, it looks good. Check. Well, la 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 la. Check. Check. And guess what? You hit a roadblock. You're like, doesn't make any sense. God, why me? Why is this not working out? I did everything right. What do you mean you did everything right? Are you sure you did everything right? Because the last time I checked, if you did everything right according to the standards of God, everything will work out just right according to the standards of God. Okay? So no, you did not do everything right. Even some of the things you did, because sometimes we can do things and we feel like, oh, you know what? I did everything right. There was no way I could have made a mistake. Like, I didn't make a mistake. Everything you analyze, but you don't understand something. So even some of the choices you make, some of the things you choose to do may seem right, but they may be wrong according to the standards of God when it comes to what you need to do, where next steps, where you need to go. Okay? I'm trying to get you guys to shift your mind, shift your thought process. Okay? Factor God into everything. God first. God first. Before I start planning, God. Before I start planning, God. Okay? God first. Shift that mindset. What I'm telling you is not easy. And I'm not saying it's going to be easy. What I'm saying is it is worth it and it is important. Shift your mindset. Shift that mindset to see things the way God wants you to see it. Shift that mindset to think and rationalize the way God wants you to do things. Okay? Now, we have bad habits because in this world we've learned, okay, to take control. of our lives, to take control of everything, to take charge of everything. Like, we literally learned this since we were young. Society teaches this thing. Okay. But God is saying, no, no, no. You like to plan, but I already have plans for you. You want to plan, but I've already got plans for you. Okay? I know the plans I have for you. Get what I'm saying, guys? He already has plans for you. Your job is to trust him and obey. Obey. Okay? So this is something I'm still working on, because just like you, like, I lived in the world. I learned a lot of bad things in the world, a lot of ways of thinking and ways of rationalizing things that are not necessarily good. They seem good, but they're not good. So what I'm telling you is not something that is easy. What I'm telling you is try, start, begin. Okay? Don't sit there saying why, why. Lord, instead say, Lord, where did I go wrong? Because he will tell you. He will tell you. He will show you. He will let you know. Lord, where did I go wrong? Where did I go wrong? Really, really ask him. God likes questions. He does not hate questions. No. God is a teacher. You can't be a teacher and hate questions. It does not work. Okay? God is a teacher. Ask him. Ask him. Where did I go wrong? Where did I go wrong, Lord? Please let me know. Please show me, where did I go wrong? Okay? I want to obey. Now, it sounds easy. It's hard. Sometimes it's hard because we want what we want. The flesh wants what it wants, okay? And I got one, and so do you. So the flesh wants what it wants, okay? But I want to obey. I really do want to obey God. Okay, I really do. From the bottom of my heart, I really, really, really want to obey God and go. Even when I don't understand, go with faith. I want to be that kind of disciple. I don't want to be a half-hearted, disciple. You know what I mean? I want to be that kind of disciple that can obey. Okay? Now, we're going to go to Acts 5, chapter 5, verse 29. It says, but Peter and the apostles answered, we must obey God rather than men. Again, obedience. Obey God rather than other human beings, because sometimes we would rather obey other human beings than God. I know. Does not make any sense because one of them is flesh and the other one is really big God, mighty God, creator of all. There is no comparison. But as human beings, we are taught to obey flesh, men as well. But no, God above all. Obey God. Okay? Obedience over sacrifice. Obedience over planning. Obedience first. Obedience over sacrifice. Obedience over planning. And obedience first. To obey. Learn to obey. I'm learning to obey. Let's learn to obey. Okay, learn to obey. Okay, I'm back to, I'm back to this. Okay, moving on. I also want to talk about authority and what it is and how we use authority every day and not even realize it. Okay. Now, I'll give you an example. They sin every day, everywhere in the world, and as human beings, we sin. The truth is, we're all sinners. There is none that is perfect. Therefore, we are all sinners. Okay. Now, we're learning not to sin, learning how not to sin. This is part of God's teaching us how not to sin, teaching us how to understand how sin affects our lives, right? We don't want to sin anymore. We want to be holy, right? Okay. So an example is so when somebody comes next to you, let's say you're a guy, right? You're a guy and you have this one friend that likes to womanize, okay? He likes to womanize, he likes the ladies, okay? And you're married. You're a man, you're married, but you got this one friend that got long legs. Okay, he got long legs and he likes to womanize. Like, he can't keep his eyes off women. It's just like, like, come on, okay? And, you know, you're having issues in your relationship, and he's just like, you know what? Yeah, bro, I understand you and all this stuff, okay? But he's bringing women around you, okay? Remember, you trust him because that's your friend, right? You trust him. That is your friend. You're like, that's my boy. Oh, that's my boy. Okay. And you're a certain girl that he brought around, like, that girl catches your eyes. Now you got temptation now because you have put yourself in a situation where your friend is bringing things or people that serve as temptation because of the situation you are in. Okay. And you're thinking to yourself, like, okay, she's right there. She's looking at me. I'm looking at her. You may or may not be thinking of your wife. Okay, either way, you have a situation where temptation is right there. And you know, if you act upon this temptation, you're going to lose. You have many things to lose. If you do that, you're definitely going to lose. Okay? And you're saying to yourself, man, what do I do? What am I going to do? Like, man, like, she's just right there. My wife is this. And you got 99 reasons why you want to complain about your wife. Okay, cool. The minute you say in your heart or out loud, depending how it really looks, right? You say, no. Y'all hear me? The minute you say no, you are putting a stop. You are putting a stop. You are exercising authority. You are saying, I don't want that. You are stopping and you are rejecting. You are stopping and you are rejecting. You are exercising authority. Your authority over that situation, over that temptation, that thing that is evil, that is going to put you back in a certain kind of sin. Have you commit some sin? You're saying, no, you're putting a stop. Then you're saying, I don't want that. Then you are rejecting. Okay. And then when you do that, you are refusing as well. You're also refusing, which means you're also pushing it away. Okay. Now I know refusing and rejecting are similar. Okay. I get it. It's cool. But you are stopping. You are saying no. You are saying, I don't want that. You are rejecting. and then you are refusing, you are pushing away. Do you know what you are doing? You are exercising authority. You are exercising authority. So some of you are going to be like, oh, wow. Wait a minute. I've done that a few times. Some of you might be like, ooh, I've done that in other situations too. That's cool. You have authority. You have authority. Exercise your authority. Okay? If we go to Luke 10, verse 19, it says, behold, I have given you authority to tread on serpents and scorpions and over all power of the enemy, and nothing shall hurt you. This is just a verse I want you guys to understand. This verse is very deep. Okay? This is Jesus Christ giving us power on authority. Okay? This is what he's doing. Apart from the regular authority we exercise, there is a higher authority that Jesus Christ has given to us. The problem is we don't know how to use it. That's the issue, okay? Acts 5:29 reads, but Peter and the apostles said, oh, I already read that. Sorry, guys. Oops, my notes. Okay. Let's see here. Now, I also want to move on to talk more about authority, but when it comes to Jesus Christ and the kind of authority he gave us. So it says here, I've given you authority to tread on serpents and scorpions over all the power of the enemy, and nothing shall hurt you. Over the power of the enemy. So the enemy has power. It's not greater than God's power, but the enemy has power. Okay, now, to tread on serpents and scorpions and all the power of the enemy, and nothing shall hurt you. Okay, and then we want to go to Luke chapter 9, verse 37 to 43. Okay, it says, basically this is about Jesus healing a boy that has an unclean spirit. Okay, and this is what it says. On the next day, when they had come down from the mountain, a great crowd met him, and behold, a man from the crowd cried out, Teacher, I beg you to look at my son, for he is my only child. And behold, a spirit seizes him, and he suddenly cries out. It convulses him so that he foams at the mouth. He foams at the mouth, okay? And shatters him, okay? And will hardly leave him. And I begged your disciples to cast it out, but they could not. Then Jesus answered, O faithless and twisted generation, how long am I to be with you and bear with you? Bring your son here. While the boy was coming to Jesus, the demon threw him to the ground and convulsed him. Okay? But Jesus rebuked the unclean spirit, okay, and healed the boy and gave him back to his father, and all were astonished at the majesty of God. So just to let you guys know, when you look at this verses here, it says, while he was coming, the demon threw him to the ground and convulsed him. That is verse 42. And then when you look at, and then right after that, it says, but Jesus rebuked the unclean spirit and healed the boy. Do you see what's going on here? So first thing I want to mention is, unclean spirits and demons, they are real. Okay? In this passage, I would say, right? At first, it says the demon Then it says the unclean spirit. What does that tell you? That demon is also referred to as an unclean spirit. An unclean spirit. Okay? What is the definition of convulsion, right? To suffer, it means a person to suffer violent involuntary contraction of the muscles, producing contortion of the body and limbs. So basically, like your body is seizing, and your limbs are not even working the right way. They are being twisted and bent and like, have you ever seen somebody convulse? It's not a pretty sight. Okay, convulsion is it's not a good thing. It's a bad thing. It's a horrible thing. Okay, and it says here, the demon made the boy convulse, and he foamed in the mouth. Okay, this is horrible. There are many kinds of illnesses, sickness, condition, according to this world, illnesses, sickness, and conditions that fall into the category. Foaming at the mouth, convulsing. It literally says here that a spirit seizes him and suddenly cries out, convulses him so that he foams at the mouth and shatters him. Literally, the boy has no control over his body. This demon, this unclean spirit shatters him. This is the description that comes from the father of the child. It shatters him. Do you know what it means to shatter something? Imagine when you apply that to a human being, it shatters the boy. Okay? The poor boy was living in pain. He didn't even have control over his own body because his body has been invaded by this unclean spirit, this demon. And the father was begging Jesus Christ to save his only son. And he did. And Jesus did. He healed the boy. Okay? But the first thing he did was rebuke. Verse 42. But Jesus rebuked the unclean spirits. Yeah. And healed the boy. He rebuked it. He rejected it. He just, Lord, don't get me started. Don't get me started. He rebuked the spirit first. He rebuked it. That is very, very important, to rebuke. Rebuke. Okay? And then when we move on, we move on to Mark 1, verse 21 to 28. Okay, I got some in my eyes, by the way. That's what I'm trying to. Okay? It says, this is about Jesus healing a man with an unclean spirit as well. So the first one, he was healing a boy. This one, he was healing a man. So let's read, okay? So we go Mark 1, verse 21 to 28, okay? And they went into Capernaum, and immediately on the Sabbath, he entered the synagogue and was teaching. And they were astonished at his teaching, for he taught them as one who had authority and not as the scribes. And immediately there was in the synagogue a man with an unclean spirit. Okay? And he cried out, "What have you to do with us?" Notice this unclean spirit was saying, "What have you to do with us?" Literally, that is plural. That is not singular. Okay? There's a passage in the Bible when Jesus says, when somebody is healed and he cleanses someone, Okay, if the person falls back into sin, the first state they were in will be better than the next state they will be in, which means the state they are now in, because they went back after he came to heal them, they went back to live in sin, to partake in sin and live in the world and do all those things. The new states they are in, it will be worse. This is partly what he's talking about, because don't think these demons do not cooperate. Nah, they do. These unclean spirits, they know what cooperation is. They will cooperate to destroy a human being. They will cooperate to destroy a human being. They will bring their friends or whoever it is or whatever other spirit is, and they will all live in a person to destroy the person. Okay? This demon literally says, over here, he says, what have you to do? And the demon cried out. He cried out. This is verse 23. Okay. What have you to do with us, Jesus of Nazareth? Okay. So they know he is the Son of God. They know he is the Son of God. He doesn't have to tell them. They know who is standing before them. The one and only begotten Son, the Son of God. Okay. They know. Okay. Have you come to destroy us again, plural? Okay, this the demon is using plural words, which means it's not just one. This man had a few. Only God knows how many, but there was a few in there. Okay. Have you come to destroy us? I know who you are, the Holy One of God. Okay. Verse 25, but Jesus rebuked him. Again, the first thing he does is rebuke. That is the first thing. He what? Rebuked. You have to rebuke. Rebuke. Okay? Saying, he rebuked him, saying, be silent and come out of him. He commanded the spirit, be silent and come out of him. He commanded it. He commanded it. So he was commanding them to be silent and come out of the man. Okay. And the unclean spirit, convulsing him and crying out with a loud voice, came out of him. And they were all amazed. They were all amazed. Everybody was amazed. So that they questioned among themselves, saying, what is this? A new teaching with authority? He commands even the unclean spirits, and they obey him. And at once his fame spread everywhere throughout all the surrounding region of Galilee. Now, when I look at this passage, there's a few things that stick out, okay? So when Jesus goes into the synagogue, so basically the synagogue is, I wouldn't say a church, but a holy place. It's a holy place for teaching. A lot of scribes, would go there and listen to teachings of wisdom, and they talk about God and all these things, right? So when Jesus went in there, he was just doing what God does, teach. Okay. But but immediately, because of his presence, whatever unclean spirits and demons was in that man, they were scared and they spoke. Literally. That demon, it spoke. Okay. Now, when I think about it, what I'm thinking could have happened is one of the demons actually spoke out loud, but the rest of them were in there as well. So one of them kind of took the leadership position. Okay, one of them took the leadership position, because if you go in there, we go here, it says us. When we go to Verse 24, what have you to do with us, Jesus of Nazareth? Have you come to destroy us? So that's plural, which means there's more than one in there, okay? But then again, when you look at verse 25, it says, but Jesus rebuked him, saying, be silent and come out of him. And the unclean spirit, convulsing him and crying out with a loud voice, came out of him. Now, that unclean spirit came out of the man, okay? I don't know how many more, if he actually went on to, well, I would assume he actually went on to cleanse the man of the rest of the